guys, welcome back to another video. Today something a bit different. Hornby have literally just had a press release at the National Model Railway Exhibition in Birmingham, and yeah, they've released some new products, some more information, so I thought we'd just go through those, see what they've released, see what they're changing, have a bit of discussion, and hopefully I can hear some of your feedback, hear what some of you are thinking. So yeah, let's get started. Obviously all this information is on their website. I watched the live stream on Facebook, which is a new thing that Hornby that they've introduced. I think it's a good step forward, good way to sort of modernise the brand, as I'm sure some of you have heard, like Hornby have had some sort of tough times recently. So hopefully by sort of modernising and especially focusing sort of more social media wise, trying to just change things up a bit, hopefully they can get back to where they were and continue being successful. So yeah, in this presentation, it was only about sort of 10-15 minute presentation. They released 5 sort of significant 2017 products. We had a sort of sneak preview at some of the 2017 January to March range. They sort of had some information about the Hornby catalogue and sort of Hornby magazine as well. So to start with, just quickly, they did show there's going to be a sort of publication coming out. I think it's actually available sort of right now, especially like if you're at the NEC at the moment, or I presume you can probably purchase it or something online, but it will essentially give a preview of I guess what's coming up sort of in the very near future for the new year. So it's January to March sort of range. It's going to feature all their new products for that period, so like the first quarter of the year basically. And it's just going to give sort of suppliers and I guess customers as well a sort of better understanding of what's to come in the very near future. Then staying on that sort of topic, they also basically showed what the new Hornby 2017 catalogue is going to be like. It's going to be going back to the old A4 sort of style. Portrait, and obviously they didn't really release one in 2016. They had that the other publication, I can't remember the exact name of it, but it sort of had a bit more historical background, little tips about railway modelling and stuff, which I actually thought was really good. But I guess it might not have gone down as well, or something like that. But I do like the fact that they're just bringing out a sole sort of catalogue. I guess that was probably maybe one downside with the publication they came out in 2016 with, was that you'd sort of be looking through it at the products and then suddenly we get to some history bit, which is interesting, but if you just want to see all the products and just quickly sort of flick through it like the old catalogues were, I guess it's not ideal, but maybe they could have a separate sort of thing, I don't know. So yeah, and that featured on what is going to feature on the cover, one of the main new releases, which is the new all-improved sort of Hornby Princess Coronation class locos, or the modified Princess Coronation class locos, which are obviously the main sort of Princess Coronation class engine that sort of most people know about is the Duchess of Hamilton, which is obviously up at the National Railway Museum, and it has got that sort of really streamlined, sort of really nice streamlined casing, a glossy finish, and obviously Hornby actually released the new model of that this year, which I actually own, and I think I've got a video unboxing that on my channel, so if you want to have a look at that, go ahead. It's I'll put a description down in the link below. And yeah, essentially that, I guess, I really like that engine. The new sort of gloss finish that they were able to replicate, I thought was really good. The quality of it is really good. It's got the new style packaging. I was personally very pleased with it, and it appears like that is also, that's been the case all across the board basically. So they've released, they're going to basically release in 2017 the modified version of that engine, which is essentially that engine without the streamlined casing, and well, basically that's what's going to be on the front cover of that new Hornby cattle. But we'll get more into the actual engine and that sort of in later on in the video. Just a quick other mention of sort of publication wise, Hornby said they have renewed their contract with the publishers for Hornby magazine, so that will be continued to be published until at least, I think it was 2022 they mentioned, which is obviously a bonus, but they have mentioned that a lot more coverage and details are going to be coming out about all the sort of product releases and information that they released today in January's issues of the Hornby magazine and the British Railway Modelling magazine. So if you, I guess, like me, looking forward to finding out some more about them, be sure to pick up those magazines in the January release, because it sounds like a lot more information will be published in those. So yeah, moving on to the actual, I guess, engines themselves that they've released. The first one, which I probably am looking forward to the most, to be honest. I've obviously got links to sort of engines such as these, like the Duchess of Sutherland, Princess Margaret Rose and all that, at the West Shed. Obviously those aren't exactly the same as this engine, but they're obviously very similar, and I like the styling of these engines. So yeah, this is obviously the new Princess Coronation class, the modified class that Hornby are releasing. And essentially, well, you can read on the website, it gives you a little bit of history regarding how William Stanier sort of was, well, at the time obviously you got the Mallard and the A4s, all the streamlining and Art Deco sort of competition at the time, and LMS wanted sort of to compete with that, so they really wanted a streamlined engine and asked William Stanier to make them one, essentially. But he wasn't actually too big a fan, so he obliged with their sort of requirements, and made the streamlined engines, obviously. But he was allowed to build, I think it says on here about 5 or something. Yeah, 5 conventional versions. So these are the conventional versions, and you can tell actually, something I learnt recently is if you look just at the front of the smoke deflectors, normally that sort of beam going across the top of the main driving wheels, when it gets in front of the pistons, normally that is connected to that front buffer beam, but there's like a little gap. Normally there's like it continues on and connects down with sort of engines like the Duchess of Sutherland and Princess Elizabeth, Princess Margaret Rose, stuff like that. But you can tell these engines are the modified sort of non-streamlined versions of the Princess Coronation class, because they don't have that. It's just like a step down. You can see there's a difference, and there's nothing connecting the two. So if you ever see sort of that step down and there's nothing, it's sort of like a little curve thing connecting it on some of the other engines. But if it doesn't have that, it's just like that. That means that it is the modified Princess Coronation class. So basically the unstreamlined versions, or one that's had the streamlined casing removed. But yeah, I think the engine's looking really good. They're saying they're designing them from sort of the ground up, and I was very pleased with obviously the new Duchess of Hamilton that they released this year. So hopefully it will be on the same lines of sort of quality wise. The only sort of, I guess, thing that negative I found with that engine was the coal in the back of the tender. It wasn't a removable thing, and it had the same essentially gloss finish as the engine itself. It just sort of didn't look right. Basically, you couldn't remove it and put in your own stuff, and it was sort of, yeah, you could see it. That's the only negative. So hopefully they give it the normal tender that they do, which actually I have over there, but where the coal just looks a lot more realistic. That's the only downside. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to sort of seeing what these engines look like in person. I guess I'll probably see some photos from the actual show, because they did say at the end of the keynote speech that they would have some on display or something like that. But colours wise and sort of livery wise, it says here, well, they're releasing obviously 3 engines: Duchess of Atholl, Sir William Stanier and City of Birmingham. And City of Birmingham will be included with TTS sound, which is actually another thing they did mention, was that they will be releasing TTS sound units just to buy, like just to purchase on their own. So that's another thing coming out next year, which I forgot to mention. But yeah, livery wise, on the website, and it does have a photo of City of Birmingham in its BR green, so maybe that's what I think that's what that's going in. It does say that the William Stanier is going in British Rail red, so I guess like Princess Margaret Rose at the moment, and the Duchess of Atholl, I don't know, I'm assuming that might be an LMS red, just to have a combination of the 3. But yeah, you can pre-order them now. I'm not sure if I'm going to pre-order them yet. I think I'm just going to wait and see what they actually turn out to be like. But yeah, they are scheduled to arrive in 2017, so keep your eye out for that. And I guess I've shown you some of the photos that they've released up on the screen now. But yeah, you can go on their website, have a bit more sort of detailed look at it and stuff like that. So yeah, another model that they're releasing is the new Hitachi IEP Class 800, which is I guess the new sort of brand new Hitachi engine that is soon to be released, and new high-speed sort of train. And well, I'm going to put up some images here. You'll be able to see what they're proposing. And there's a few different sort of, I guess, combinations that you're going to be able to get in 2017. So they will have the Great Western train pack, which I actually think looks really good. I really like that sort of green Great Western livery. I've seen it on a few other trains going around close to where I live, and I really like that sort of, it's almost like British Racing green, with the sort of silver pinstriping and silver lettering. I really like that. And then there's going to be a limited edition, test train power units. But that, well, going back to the Great Western, that was going to be a train pack with the 2 power cars obviously at each end, and it's going to have 3 coaches in between, which is obviously a new for Hornby. They normally only have, well, if it's a steam train pack, they'll normally have the engine and 3 coaches, or if it's sort of a modern electric, they'll normally have the power cars at each end and only 2 in the middle. So it's a new for Hornby, having 5 sort of, I guess, pieces in that train pack, and in that finish as well. I'm really looking forward to seeing that, just because I really like that finish. So yeah, moving on to the next one, they're obviously going to be releasing another sort of train pack, but it's just going to be the 2 power cars, and it's going to be the sort of test trains, I guess, the power cars in that. So I assume that's what, while they were developing those new trains, that was sort of the livery and stuff that they had on there. So that's just another cool feature, and those are going to be a limited edition, I believe. So I think it was around 200 ish. So yeah, looking forward to seeing both of them, especially the Great Western one. I really like the look of that, especially with the new sort of format of the train packs. In having I guess a larger engine, it's probably going to be a bit more expensive, but you just get, I guess, a bit more all in one. And lastly is the new Class 87. So this is, as they mentioned on the keynote, I would strongly recommend watching that, by the way, just to, I guess, see it in person. But yeah, it was the sort of British Rail Electric sort of fleet, I guess, in the 70s and 80s, and it actually said that these were the ones running on the lines that all the Stanier engines that I just mentioned, the new Stanier engines, that they were running on as well. So it's sort of a little link between the 2 of them. But yeah, I guess they're going to be releasing, I think it's going to be 2 different models of that. they haven't really, looking on their website, released a sort of, well, they have a picture which I'll show you now of the real engine, but they haven't shown any sort of colouring and detailing of the actual model itself. So I'm not. It does say, I guess, on here though that it's gonna, one of them called Robert Burns is gonna have a BR blue livery, and the other one is gonna be King Arthur in the BR Intercity sort of. But it says Swallow logo livery. So I personally am not a huge, like, I don't have that much knowledge on those different liveries, but I guess if you actually go on their website, it does show you photos of the real life engines of them. So you'll kind of get an idea of what they're going to look like. But yeah, all of those sort of new releases, I think they're gonna be sort of very good. I'm really looking forward to actually seeing them in person, and I think it's been sort of quite an eye opener, I guess. Like, Hornby have never done this style of release, and sort of, I guess, giving us sort of that much of a heads up, and this new format of publications and stuff as well is something I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out, and hopefully it brings success to them. But I'd love to hear all of your feedback, what you think of the new releases, what you like, what you don't like, any suggestions, I guess, on any other of the topics we've talked about. And yeah, and if you sort of like this style of video, I guess there's not too many people in this sort of community, I guess, that do this and talk about all these sort of releases and stuff like that. So if you've enjoyed that, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, because give me a bit of feedback, put a comment in the comments down below. I'd love to sort of hear your feedback on both how you think this has been, if you'd like to see a bit more of this, and what you think of the new Hornby products. So yeah, thank you for watching, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and be sure to go and check out Hornby's website for a bit more sort of information on the actual engines themselves, and all the other information on the other sort of publications and other releases. But yeah, thank you for watching.